Welcome back to the Duval Dialogue Podcast. You got your host Zay, my co-host with me, Bam.
What's going on?
This will be episode 3 of the Duval Dialogue Podcast, coming out this upcoming Monday or past Monday, depending on when you're watching this. This episode is probably the first serious thing we've talked about. This episode will be dedicated to Mr. DeSantis from our hometown of Jacksonville, Florida. Now the governor of Florida, and just announced his run for presidency, I believe, like a week ago. So today we'll be discussing his House Bill 543 that he signed and House Bill 999 that he signed. I was thinking about talking about the abortion on my ass. Too old now. But yeah, so 543, that's the gun safety one, and the 999, that's one that pertains to the that he put in to quote him, go against woke culture and the high end liberals or whatever.
Yeah, he
high
said
class liberals, whatever.
Something like wokeism dies in Florida. Like that was his quote or something like that.
Whatever. But okay, so we'll start with House Bill 543 with the gun safety. So let's just go over what it is in general, right? Basically, sum it all up, he got rid of the necessity to have a concealed carry license. That is the gist of it. And the reasoning behind that is because gun rights is a Second Amendment, and is a constitutional right of a citizen. So therefore, I guess he believes that you shouldn't have to go through any other loops to conceal that weapon. Whether that is safety, knowing how to use the weapon, proving that you understand how a weapon is used, anything. He believes you should just be able to go buy the gun and keep it on your person as long as you're 21. And that is the only requirement. Mm. So how do you feel about it?
I definitely feel like that shouldn't be passed. Me personally, I feel like that could just.
Oh, it's been passed.
No. I mean, yeah. I'm just saying, like me personally, I just feel like it'll cause more problems, more issues.
Yeah, I don't see how it makes sense. I don't see how it'll help people. Even if people do use it and carry without being concealed, it still, I feel like only hurts you as a citizen, right? Because say officer pulls you over, you have that gun. Yeah, the bill passed. He doesn't ask for your concealed carry permit, but now he has to just assume that you are a law-abiding citizen with a firearm, which every officer may not assume, right? So you're putting it up to that officer's choice, right, of how he feels about you in that moment. You have a concealed carry license. His opinion means nothing. You hand him the license. He knows that you can't have this gun, and his opinion means nothing. It can just sit with him.
Yeah.
Without that license, which no one has to have anymore, he's just guessing. And now you're putting them in a more tricky situation because they don't know who should and who should not have the firearms. And you're putting yourself in a worse situation because now you're hoping every officer you see is just nice about it and just feels like you're not threatening. Because now all of it takes is an officer. Oh, I don't know. I think he might have been a criminal. I didn't get a chance to run his license. I saw the gun, and because now they may not ask you for a concealed permit no more because it's not necessary. Even if you know what I'm saying. So that's why I think it's stupid because I feel like it helps nobody. Mm. I get I feel like the reason he's doing this is because he's running for the Republican Party. Republican Party is very much guns up, guns first.
Yeah, because I was about to ask you, like, what do you think his reason behind that was?
I think it's just to please his party, and I'm sure he maybe likes guns himself too. But I think it's just get those votes in. It's election year, so it passes kind of will, puts him in a stronger stance with his people. Republicans love their guns. I mean, I have nothing against guns. I wouldn't even call myself a Democrat, but I'd probably lean more liberal if I took a test. I have absolutely nothing with guns. No problem with them. I think everybody should have a gun in their home for safety, even if you don't like guns, because the next guy to you might like one, so you should still keep you one. But I think to get rid of gun safety is idiotic. I think that's stupid. I don't think there's any logical reason you can put up to say, oh yeah, you don't have to learn how to use a gun to buy one. You can go buy a murder machine without having any knowledge of how it works.
That's the same thing. I'm not gonna compare it to like what driver's license, but it's just like, oh yeah, here goes a car.
No, I think it's the exact same thing. I'm not going to driving is a right
because that one's way more extreme. That's why I wasn't going to compare it.
Yeah, but yeah, like driving is a right? You know what I'm saying? Everybody has the right to drive as long as you don't, commit a DUI or something of that nature. But and you still have to get a license to even get an opportunity to commit one of those crimes. Yeah, so that's the same thing because it kills people. Cars kill people. They're very dangerous. They move 100 plus miles an hour at potentially. So I'm not letting you get in one if you can't prove to me that you can use it. Guns are made to murder people. People can pretend guns or anything else. They can pretend guns are for fun. They go shoot at ranges. They can pretend guns are just something fancy. You can shoot somebody in the leg. Guns are made to kill people. Guns were made for murder. That is a gun's number one purpose as a tool is to murder people.
Or hunt.
Or murder still.
Oh, yeah, murder.
To go kill animals. It is made to kill. That is what a gun is for. It is not made to slow something down. It is not made to go have fun with. You can do that with it, but what it was made for was war. Guns are made to hunt and for war. That is their sole purpose, is to hurt things. You should not let somebody go get a murder machine without knowing that they can use it, without having them show any proof that they even know gun safety. Because then you get all these cases where people are shooting kids, shooting each other, young 18, 19-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds that's playing with guns, don't know the first thing about gun safety. And you think that's going to slow down with getting rid of a law that makes them go take classes to be able to own those firearms? Now they can just, 21st birthday, I can go buy me a bottle and a gun.
I know this off track, but did you ever see that video? It was like, it was a couple. They were either a brother and sister or they were a couple on live in the bathroom.
Yeah, they shot, you talking about the cousins.
They were cousins?
Yeah, she shot her cousin, they shot herself.
Yeah. Both was on accident.
Both was on accident, yeah, shot her.
They couldn't even open the door because their dead body was just jamming it. So
that's
an example right there.
I don't know if that'd be an example. They were children, so they wouldn't be able to gun regardless of which law it was.
Oh, yeah.
They were like 14.
I know. I thought it was like...
Nah, they were jits. They were like... they might have been like 6, 17, 18. Definitely.
So I thought it was 18.
Yeah, they definitely wasn't 21, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you still can't get it. You still got to be 21. The law didn't change the age. You still have to be at least 21, but now that's the only requirement. And also, what's weird to me is because you still have to meet the same requirements that a concealed carry license requires you to meet. Right? You still have to meet those requirements to be able to conceal carry, right?
Yeah.
But now I guess it's moving the burden onto the state to prove that you meet those requirements. Because now, if say a cop sees you with a concealed weapon and doesn't know if you meet those requirements, how does he check that now? He can't just arrest you. No, before, I can check concealed carry.
Yeah.
If you pass to get a concealed carry, then you pass the criteria to own a gun. What if you go get a gun illegally and you're just concealing it? You don't have to have a license to have it now. There's no permit to own it now.
Yeah.
It could be a legal gun you just stole.
Yeah.
There's no proof I can look up that where I know if that's your gun or not.
Dang.
Right? Because you don't have to go get a concealed carry license. In Florida, you don't have to put a gun in your name. There's no putting it in your name. You can just go buy the gun.
It's finna get wicked out here, boy.
Yeah. So, and now officer also has no right to search you just for seeing a gun. Because anybody over the age of 21 can conceal carry a weapon. They're not breaking any law.
Yeah.
You cannot go question somebody for that now. All right. So, and I mean, I guess, that could help certain people because there are certain people I think will probably get overly approached for things like that just because of their appearance or whatever.
Yeah.
Even they may have a concealed carry, not doing anything wrong, they may get overly approached. Now that won't happen. But I think getting rid of that altogether, I think is a net negative, I'd say. Getting rid of gun safety is a net negative, if you ask me. We weigh pros and cons. I think at the end of the day, it hurts people a lot more than it helps anyone.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's logical, especially if you're going to keep the age at 21. I don't understand why you would get rid of something that just obligates people to just go learn how to use a gun. Because when you get a concealed carry, it just proves 1A, you're not a felon, or at least your felony doesn't prohibit you from having a gun. You're of age and you took a gun safety course.
Yeah.
So you know how to use a gun properly. I can't think of any reason to get rid of that. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. On a campus with a gun or whatever, right? Like how does that affect school shootings, right? Which is already at an all-time high. Now you've got rid of concealed carry license, something that could obstruct somebody from getting their hands on a gun. And I guess the battle of that is that House Bill 543 did put, I guess you could say, stronger safety measures on school shootings, as in they put in new things to where schools can have like guards, basically.
Yeah.
And something about active assailant response policy, which is basically saying like something you could put in to where if something does go down, there's like a plan, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plan of how the school will react, how the local officials react, and basically,
set a set of procedures.
Yeah, a set of procedures.
Yeah.
As long as it's within the city's actual reasonable. You can't just say, oh, y'all gonna be here in 8 seconds. Like, you gotta be, reasonable, but
Yeah.
I don't see how. I feel like most cities and schools already have kind of something like that in place. I feel like just making a policy doesn't slow down anything. But I mean, and a lot of them, those people they're not officers. They're not trained officers.
Yeah.
Somebody I don't know how much that changes. A lot of these schools that have been signed up already had a police officer on school campuses, like most schools already have here in Florida.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much that will change. I think that's just him trying to mitigate like the argument of, oh, what about school shootings? Like, oh, I put something in there for school shootings.
How effective is it going to be?
I don't know. I don't think it'll be effective at all. I don't think it'll do anything. Especially he put in the K9 program, which is basically saying schools can be eligible to have a dog that can sniff out firearms, right?
Yeah.
On the campus.
That's crazy.
But the only way they can qualify, I said they donate towards the program. Wow. Now, I don't know if that's the only way, but in the bill, that's what it says.
Yeah.
In the bill, it says that schools qualify if they donate to the program. They qualify to have a dog that can sniff out firearms.
What do you think would be the right way to go about it to minimize school shootings? Since we're on that topic,
to minimize school shootings,
yeah.
I think you should impose stronger classes on even getting guns. Because people always make the argument, oh, if you get rid of guns, then only the criminals will have them. Everybody that has shot up a school has shot up a school with a legal gun. There may have been a few cases, but very, very, very small percentage of shootings have been done with an illegal firearm.
Yeah.
The vast majority have been done with very legal guns that have not been linked to any crimes previously.
Yeah.
That were some stolen from parents, bought by another adult, whatever the case may have been. They're not illegal firearms. So I don't know where that idea comes from, right? The school shootings aren't happening by these illegal guns that people are trying to point out. I think the best way, and I'm not a lawmaker by any means, but I think the best way would be, one, make it harder to get a gun. You have to have proof that you can keep the gun away from children. Probably put up more gates at schools, because I realized most schools campuses you can literally just walk on.
Yeah.
Like no one is stopping you. Gates are open all day. And then for the ones that do have gates, half of them don't even have gates or anything.
Yeah.
Like and other states, like I know in Florida, some of our schools have gates, but I know other states it's not even a thing. Cause at Staten they have gates all around Staten, but the gates are open most of the day. I remember one kid came in, he was from up north, and he was like, yeah, it's like a prison, bro. You have gates around the school, cause their school is open. You can like during their lunch, they can just walk out, leave, go get food, come back.
Yeah. Like
it's just completely open. Which that's how schools should be, but we're in America where guns are present, right? So it can't be like that.
Yeah,
they need to be like jails. They need to be where once you're in, you're in. You can't get off campus, and once you get off campus, you can't come back on campus.
Yeah,
that's the only really way you can get rid of the issue. I mean, yeah, you could have the whole, you could have the metal detectors, the dog, whatever the case you want. Yeah. But if you have kids huddle up every morning to go walk through a metal detector, pretty much all schools, there's never been a school shooter that got away. They even killed someone on the scene or get arrested. What's stopping them from just shooting up the kids while they're huddled up, going through a metal detector? Where you just gather them in one place where they have to all sit and wait.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know how that changes anything other than just shooting capping in the middle of a day, I guess. I think that's stupid. I don't think that will really minimize anything, help anything.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Oh, is it blurry?
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's just I was coming to check on it.
Okay.
My phone, lost storage today, so my phone's come out mid.
But yeah, so I think I don't think that the metal detectors are doing really anything that effective. Same thing with the K9s. If a kid came and he already knows it's going to be there, he's going to have a way around it, or he just plans on shooting right there.
Sheesh. Yeah.
All right. So I think the thing is just one, banning assault rifles and shotguns. Obviously, like there's no reason for them to exist. We're in America, first world country. You don't have to hunt for food. They're here for fun now. You don't need to defend your house with an AK-47 with a 35 round mag. Right? That's
who's coming to your house?
You're not defending your car with a 12 gauge shotgun. Right? A pistol is fine to defend your house in almost every single situation that will ever happen to you. Right? And people can always make the arguments, well, getting rid of guns won't solve the problem. Okay, that's the case then. Why is every other country in the world, not one or two, every single other country in the world that doesn't have guns has never had a school shooting? Not really? One. We have some every single month. And I get that you can't just ban them outright. which we've not said we just need pistols. The reason you can't ban them right because they're already in the system. They're already being sold. Right? It's like trying to ban the dollar and make a new one. This currency is already flowing around.
Yeah.
Guns are already in circulation. So unless you pull a UK and say, hey, if you're found with a gun, it's a minimum 50-year charge and every bullet's an extra year.
What? That's how it goes?
Yeah, I think it's 20 years now. I think if you get found with a gun, it's a minimum 20-year prison sentence and then 1 year for every bullet you have.
Imagine
Which is why they have so many stabbings.
Yeah, I would rather get shot than stabbed, but that doesn't make anything better.
No, I'm saying that's why they stab. Because even if they can't get their hands on a gun, the Senate, like, you're done. You're getting life.
Yeah.
Like, there's no case for you. You're going to prison for life because there's no guns there, period.
Yeah.
So there's no argument you can make. So you're going to prison for life the moment you get caught with a gun.
Sheesh.
So unless America's going to make some drastic law like that, which will have to be federal on top of that, because if it was statewide, people just move to a different state without the law. There's no way to really get rid of guns out of circulation, and that's kind of utopian. They're never going to pass a law like that because it's in our Constitution. Well, that's the reason, because our Constitution. Roe versus Wade was in the Constitution, and that's gone now. So clearly, that doesn't matter too much. What's in the Constitution, and we've changed the Constitution at plenty of times.
Yeah.
People try to pretend like we haven't. We changed it a lot.
Yeah. I just have so many questions, bro, because I'm not really political or anything like that. So I just be like, what's the reason behind this? Like, I know it's like political stunts and stuff like that, or just trying to sway a group of people this way and stuff.
Just because Republicans feel like there essentially should be no other laws. Like, there should be no laws stopping people from getting guns because it's a constitutional right.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I wouldn't say I'm Republican or Democratic, but I do think it's very hypocritical considering the whole Roe versus Wade thing. That's the exact same argument. People should be able to get abortions because it was a constitutional right.
Yeah.
And y'all just took it out of the Constitution. So I think that's a terrible argument for at least for that party, considering they already showed that they don't care that much about what's a constitutional right or what's not, because y'all have gotten rid of constitutional right.
Yeah.
At one point, slavery was considered a constitutional right.
Oh my.
We were considered property, and people and citizens had a right to property.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I don't know. The Constitution was written 300 years ago. I don't know how much we should keep it everything as they
some
wrote
things
it
definitely
in 1776. You know, I don't know if it's everything's the same as 1700s to where the laws should be the exact same. I think a lot of them should not be tampered with, but I think some things here or there could change.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, for sure.
But moving away from HB House Bill 543, I think you got any final thoughts on that?
No, man. I just really I just feel like the suicide rates are gonna go up because of more access to guns. I just feel like school shootings gonna go up and just a lot of stuff, man. And I think now aren't more policemen's life like in danger more? Or
because more people have access to guns?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the more people have access to gun without gun safety is really be the issue. And y'all can, leave a comment. Tell us how you feel about it. I'm not like I said, I'm not hugely left, hugely right. I'm not really radical either way. I do disagree with the bill. I don't think there was any point for it. I think it was just for cool points for election. Election year, we're probably going to see a lot more crazy bills passed that don't make sense. Well, the one we're talking about right now. House Bill 999. And this one to me, this one's ridiculous. Right? This one's ridiculous.
Talk to him.
Basically, banning institutions, college institutions, from funding any type of diversity, right? You can't fund anything that goes towards women's education, minority education, anything like that.
Yeah.
Nothing towards funding, or they call it just being woke. It's funding people that were underprivileged before woke. You can't fund anything like that. Getting rid of pretty much any majors that are pertaining directly towards things like that, like African American studies, critical race theory, things like that, women's studies, all those majors, getting rid of those. Clubs, organizations no longer can receive funding if their mission statement is, say, Black women in medicine. You can't receive funding now, or for some colleges can't exist because you're pertaining specifically to a minority, advertising to that. Trying to get rid of that. And I don't know if he's banned it in the high school level. I think he has. But I think that bill is ridiculous. I can't think of any argument for it at all.
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, his argument. I watched a short video, the AP course that's from the College Board. Basically, he was saying that it's too woke. It has like things about LGBT, all that community. It has that in there, and it talks about like the deep truths of African American history.
Yeah, that's critical race theory. And I think another thing he was saying was that
He was like, you shouldn't be pushing that onto the children.
yeah, he was trying to make it sound like it's gonna make black kids feel like they are less, which is, I guess what he was trying to finesse it to make it sound like he actually
indoctrination.
cares. Yeah, I was trying to make it finesse it make it sound like he cared. Like, oh, you shouldn't tell them that they're underprivileged because then they'll feel like they can't succeed. No, you just don't want them hearing the truth about what happened.
Yeah,
because that's what happened. Critical race theory is based.
And you can't. Everybody knows, man. I don't care who you are. You cannot speak about American history without having African American history in it because we are centered around it for the most part. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all of American history is about race for the most part. Pretty much everything that was a big deal. I mean, the most violent war in history was based on race. It was the
Civil War.
The Civil War, the most bloody war in American history. We've had more American deaths in that war than World War I and World War II combined. So, and that war was fought pretty much entirely based on slavery. Abraham Lincoln freeing the slaves, and states picking sides.
Yeah,
all out war, bloodiest war to this date. Civil rights movement. You got mass incarceration. You got segregation. There's it's not like it ever stopped. After slavery ended, you still had indentured servitudes. You still had slaves in the South that were picking cotton. Keep that in mind. My great grandfather picked cotton, right? And not as a slave technically, but some people in the South that was still their mindset. Slavery only been free for a few years.
Yeah.
Early, you got free. Well, when was slavery abolished? 1870.
1865.
Yeah. So
1866.
Let's do the math. My great grandma was born in like 29. Yeah. So her father was born in like 19 even, I think, something like that.
1900.
Yeah. So slavery was only abolished for 30 something years at that point. And in the South, they still had like indentured servitudes and people still picking cotton fields for
what they call like
change.
Sharecroppers or something like that?
And they're still picking cotton for change.
Yeah.
For slaves, they're getting paid. They're getting paid nothing. And it's the only thing they knew because, well, at that point, your father was a slave.
Yeah.
There was no generation in between. Slavery, and even to this day, slaves are only, 3 generations away? It's not that far.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it, bro.
Like, it's not that far at all.
Yeah.
So people pretend like these things, and like, there like things like critical race theory, right? That are big bad. People pretend as if critical race theory is some made up thing to push propaganda. Maybe you could argue the theory of why the things happen, because the theory is essentially that these things stacked up and that in today's date, they're still on the mental of African Americans and they still, and that's the form of oppression, right? Because all those things happen, that's your history.
Yeah.
Maybe you could argue that, that's not oppression today because it's the past. But you can't argue. The things that happen in critical race theory are all facts. There are no opinions a part of critical race theory. It's just showing what has happened back to back to back. And people pretend like everything's good and dandy. Well, if my granddad's granddad was a slave, right? That's who raised him. So he's raising him with those ideals. If my granddad's mom, my great grandma, born in 29, went through the entirety of segregation, civil rights movement, all of that as an adult. It's not like she was a child when this is happening. She was a grown woman when this is happening. People telling her to go drink water out of the black people fountain.
Even my grandmother went through that.
Yeah.
So not even my grandmother went through that.
Yeah. I think my grandma was born at the end of it.
Yeah.
But so she's a fully grown woman as this is happening. This is her mind state. This is what she's getting taught about black people. This is how she's going to class. You can't go sit with the white kids. You can't go to school with the white kids. You can't do anything with the white kids. You can't go work with the white people. And then she has my grandfather who raised me directly.
Yeah.
That's the mindset he was instilled with. He is a grown man through all the mass incarceration, all the things in the 80s, flooding the streets with cocaine and all that stuff. He is a grown man through all of that. And he raised me directly. You don't think any of that will have an effect on the generation today? It's essentially what they're saying, that why critical race theory is fake. They're saying that none of that has any effect on the generation today. It's in the past. What's the past? Like what do you mean is the past?
Yeah.
Like that's what they were raised in. That's what built their character. Those eras.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to keep teaching. Now I can say maybe if it was 21, 23, and that was 100 years ago, 200, 150 years ago, and 6 generations ago, maybe this is one generation away. These things. Yeah. Civil rights is 2 generations away from our generation. That all those people are alive. They're in their right. All those people are alive still, bro. Yeah. It's not like these people were dead for 100 years. How they try to make it seem.
Still alive to talk about it.
Yeah, like they literally try to pretend like civil rights that long. Rosa Parks just died 20 years ago. like they try to pretend like these things were hundreds and hundreds of years ago. They just happened. Yeah. They literally just happened. Yeah. Our current president was alive during them. These things just happened. The guy that's trying to run against him was alive when these things happened. Like this is not old news. This is news. Yeah. And that's why I think this bill is ridiculous. I can't think of any argument to get rid of those things. Now going back to the other part of this thing, which is funding diversity, right? Trying to get rid of wokeness. Essentially saying colleges, and I think the whole point is they say, oh, colleges should accept who's the best, not who meets the quota, basically. Like, oh, you should have to meet a 10% African American quota or a 40% women's quota, whatever the case may be. I could see that argument in a few years. The reason I can't see it right now is because a lot of people in African American, especially in African American culture, still first generation. Yeah. Like education is just now getting extremely popular in the culture. And a lot of schools, unless you make them, won't care about the things that could hinder someone of color's success, right? So let's say I kind of go back to critical race theory. All those things did lead, people bring up why black people were more impoverished and all that. Well, it's because all those things did hold us back. We've had one generation where you could argue there was equal opportunity with white people. Just one. White people have had 400 years of equal opportunity to build generational wealth, whatever. We've had one generation who's had the same equal opportunity to build generational wealth. There hasn't even been a generation to get that wealth yet. That's how new that is. So when you have that little time to move forward, you have a lot of people that are still in these impoverished areas. What happens then? If you don't have that kind of money, that kind of capital to get your kids the best tutors and all that stuff, you're going to get a kid that doesn't have the same straight A's. Oh, he can just study harder. Well, that kid has to get a job, right? Because when he gets to high school, his parents can't just buy him everything. He has to work. So now you have a kid that's in high school working 40, 50 hours a week while also going to school full time. Yeah. Right? While you have another kid whose parents is well off, right? Doesn't necessarily be white. That's because every white person is not rich. But so you have another kid who's well off, who's in a better environment, who's, he can just study. When he goes work, when he gets a job, it's his junior year because he's getting an internship at a hospital. Yeah. That helps him with college.
Everything's paid for.
Everything's paid. Right. So now when both of the kids are applying, this kid from an impoverished area, which no longer has the colleges are no longer, forced to look into why his standards aren't as high, right? Because you look into his character, then maybe you'd be like, oh, okay, that's why his grades aren't as high. He had to work, he had to hustle. They don't care about that. We're not gonna say they don't care about it. They don't have to look into that now. It's not just looking at the resumes blank, no other context, because they don't have to look into that no more. Okay, this kid right here, kid A, the broke kid, right, has a 3.2 GPA. He kept his grades decent, right? A, B honor roll, a few more B's than A's there. He has no volunteer hours because he had to work. That's his resume. Decent essays, whatever, but below average GPA, and that's it. This kid has a 4.0, has 250 hours of volunteer hours because his parents had him volunteering the whole time. Because while this kid was working 40 hours a week his whole school year, this kid was only working 20 hours a week volunteering, but you do that for 2 years. It's hundreds of hours.
Add up, yeah.
4.0, he had a perfect SAT score because his parents paid for SAT tutors. This kid only got the ticket once because his parents couldn't afford the SAT to have him retake it. The first one was free, not the second one. His parents couldn't afford for him to retake it. He took it one time. He got an 1170. This kid got a 1450. He took it 4 times.
I was about to say that first one sounded like me, but I ain't getting no 1170. I thought y'all was lower than that.
Yeah, 1170 is kind of higher. Let me say he got a 1050.
That's more like it.
He got 10.
That's more like it.
He only got to take it one time. He couldn't afford the second one. That first one was a waiver. Couldn't afford the second one. That kid's not accepted. Right? That kid can have way more character. He'd be a much stronger candidate of a student. Once he can get in college, he can get loans that'll help him so he can study harder, focus on school better. Could potentially be a way better student. He's much more well-rounded, has had real life experiences. Colleges are not forced to look into that now because they do not have to put money towards these diversity programs. These diversity programs looked at these kids' resumes and looked at why were they, because people pretend like, oh, diversity. Okay, you have to get 8% black kids, so that means they just accept anybody black. No.
In reality, you're not getting good candidates that actually.
Yeah, like they like
flourish in
if
your
you're black,
college.
you're just stupid. Like, cause there are kids literally at places like UF and stuff that will literally say, "Oh, you got in here because you're black," even though that kid had a better GPA than you. Like, I know kids that never went to stand where the kids have told them that, like, act like, "Oh, you only got in there because of the diversity program." The whole time, this kid went to the #1 school in the state and did better than you in every single category of school. Had a higher GPA than you, had a higher SAT score than you, had better essays than you, and more volunteer hours. But people literally just assume because of diversity programs, you just get in. You still have to get in.
Yeah.
You still have to be smart. Like, you're not getting in with a 2.5 regardless of what color your skin is. But these programs just made it to where, okay, now we have this funding for diversity, right? Okay, now I can go pay this section of school. This is our diversity program. Y'all job is to go over these applications of these minority groups and see who was the best out of these minorities. They're still picking the best. They're just making sure they let minorities in and are not just letting in the 1% who family had the most money to make sure they had the best scores. So I can't understand getting rid of something like that. It's not forcing them to just let in anybody. It's just forcing them to actually look, which they don't have to do anymore. they have no obligation to do that whatsoever anymore. But that's only one part of it. That's only one part of it. The minority stuff. It also goes to organizations that already exist. My best friend in her organization, they were recently told that I go to the University of South Florida. They were recently told that essentially they couldn't advertise things as like being for minority anymore. Like, they couldn't host an event and be like, "Hey, black women come to this event. We're trying to get more black women in STEM." You can't say that now, because now you're setting a group aside, right? You're like, "Oh, you're taking this group. Why can't everybody come?"
Yeah,
kind of thing. Because now you can't do that for minorities anymore. It has to be for everybody. But it's because there is a very, very small percentage of black women in STEM, Okay, yeah, science, technology, it is engineering. Science, technology, engineering, and math, not medicine. Right? Just because there's a very small, and not because black women aren't smart enough to be in STEM, because that's not something they're taught about.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna host this event because I want these freshmen to come in because y'all undecided on majors, and you're a freshman, you can change your major, it doesn't matter. You don't take a gen ed anyway, so you don't have any classes towards your major regardless. Hey, let me teach you about this field that you probably don't know about because it's not taught a lot to black women. I want to educate you on this field. You don't have to do it, but now I want to educate black women on it so y'all have the opportunity to choose it. Y'all know about it. Or have the opportunity to say, "No, I don't want to do it."
Yeah.
If I don't educate you, you don't have the opportunity to say no.
Yeah.
You can't do that now.
Regardless, yeah.
You can't do that now because you can't host an event. Or if you do it, you got to be sneaky. You can't say it's for black women.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, how you gonna do that?
You just can't put it in the flyer. I mean, you be sneaky, word of mouth, and everybody on the campus still gonna know your organization was black men in engineering. So it's kind of implied that whatever event you throw, you probably want black men to come.
Yeah.
But now in your flyers, you can't put that out. Now you go put flyers around school or whatever. You can't say that. Even though you made it saying, "Hey, a lot of black boys growing up don't get taught. Hey, man, you can be a mathematician and be an engineer, make $150,000 a year." They don't tell you. They're not telling you that.
Yeah.
And I said there aren't parents. I know plenty of black parents that are telling their kids that, but there are a lot who are not.
Yeah.
Or like in impoverished areas where, like you said, your first generation, they're not telling you because they are ill intent. They don't know it exists. They didn't go to college. Your first generation, they don't know what the majors are.
Yeah.
To tell you if they wanted to. Best they can do is take you to other things around the city to educate themselves on it, which some parents do try to do, like educate themselves in college, but I mean, they're not in college.
Yeah. Never experienced it.
I can't. There's no reason to get rid of these events other than to say he's fighting woke culture, right? Which you're not fighting the things. Not wrong. There is toxic woke culture, but the things that are toxic, you're not fighting. There's nothing about these college events that are toxic.
Yeah.
Right? Getting rid of college majors is one ridiculous because these are adults. They are paying for college, so you should have absolutely no say in what they get to choose to learn.
Yeah.
If they want to pay for a major, they can pay for a major. I'm wrong. Those majors are stupid. Women's studies, gender studies, African American history. They're dumb majors. You're not getting a job. Let's be honest. That's a very stupid major to get into. I think they have like an 80% negative ROI. So 4 out of 5 kids will never make $1 with those majors.
Yeah.
So they are stupid majors to get into. But if a kid wants to be dumb and get that major, let him. He's an adult.
I mean, you have those adults that just genuinely just want to learn about that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah. You do. Also that. You have 40 and 50-year-olds who are well off and can afford that.
Yeah.
And they just want to educate themselves. They have no intentions of using that degree. Yeah. They're already in their careers.
But still, I mean, it's not profitable.
Yeah, not profitable. No.
In
It's
the
like
long
if
run,
you're 18, even if they do get rid of this, you're 18.
Go ahead and take your prereqs that you need, my boy.
If you're 18, 19, and they get rid of this and they bring those majors back, please do not major in that. Don't even minor in it. Do a maybe you can minor in it just for fun. Don't major in that. You will not work in this country. But or you can be a teacher. You can be only thing you can do with an African American's degree, African study degree, gender study degree is be an African history teacher or a gender studies teacher.
Is that I never even a gender studies teacher? What is
Who you
that?
think teaches the people in the major, bro?
Yeah, okay.
So you can be a professor. That's about it. And only professor for those majors.
Okay.
But whether the degree is stupid or not, it's not on him to decide whether you can take it. That's my point.
Yeah.
It's my point.
Gender studies. I'm not even joking, like, bro, like,
What is that?
yeah.
Basically studying what genders are, because now genders are considered like,
So that's a new thing.
huh?
That's new. I'm about to say because I know I ain't been around.
It's been around for a few years now.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like when you talk about college.
Oh yeah,
school,
no.
Yeah.
Well, it just came around when it became socially acceptable to decide what gender you are.
Okay.
That's a whole other. I don't want to.
So less than 5 years.
Huh?
Less than 10 years.
Yeah, I would say less than 10. I don't know about less than 5, but definitely less than 10 years.
That's crazy.
Now that is probably the dumbest major in the world, because there's nothing you can do with that. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing you can do with it. There's not a single job on this planet where anyone will ever hire you because you say, "Hey, I understand what every gender is."
Yeah, you can't get mad at that. You can't get mad at that because that's just truth.
There's nobody. I mean, maybe you can like open like a very niche profession, or like, hey, I do online classes and teach people about gender identity, help you find yourself. But then you're profiting off of people's...
Buy this.
Huh?
Buy this program.
Yeah.
I can teach you. That's crazy.
You become one of those people. That's about it. I wouldn't even say professor, because they only gonna have like one professor in the whole school for that. So that guy dies that taught you. You're not getting his job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not, and I have nothing against the people that want to learn that stuff, but Google it. They'll take an online course. Do not spend $50,000 on that degree.
Just looking out, for real. Just looking out.
Yeah, do not do that. But I guess we can go ahead and wrap it up. We kind of just chatting. So, thank y'all for tuning in, man. It's episode 3 of the Duval Dialogue podcast. Oh, the voiceover. Yeah. Episode 3 of the Duval Dialogue podcast. This is our take. Started off on a take on House Bill 543-999. Kind of went over to some other things, and yeah, man, that's it.
Let us know.
You go.
No, I was about to say, let us know what you think in the comments. Whether you agree, you disagree, just state your opinion. Anything, you know what I'm saying? Chop it up.
Comment, subscribe to us, please. You know what I'm saying? Please.
And post notifications too. That way you know every single time we
post.
post.
You know when we post. Y'all ain't got to see it on my Instagram, man. I've been looking at our impressions. It's like 80% come through a link, which means y'all clicking links I'm putting up. So it's y'all not finding us other way. I'm gonna try this clapping thing too to send us off, y'all. We got it on mixing board. Is it this one? I think so. Episode 3. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.